Warning: the Savage Nation contains adult language, adult content, psychological nudity. Listener discretion is advised. And now, America's most exciting radio talk show, The Savage Nation, home of borders, language, culture. And here he is, winner of the National Radio Hall of Fame Award, Michael Savage.
I can't believe it. I was just notified minutes ago that this is the 23rd anniversary of the Savage Nation. That's right. The first show was on March 21st, which of course is today, in the year of our Lord, 1994, in San Francisco on a letter-deficient station. And here we are, 23 years later. How does time fly? The old people, time flies. What do you see when you get older? Is it that time flies? Does time move faster? Do we move slower? Why does it seem so quick at all? And your kid, remember sitting in a classroom in geometry in high school? It was eternity. 1 hour, 45 minutes in a geometry classroom in Jamaica High School was an eternity. It was like from here to eternity, from the time that bell rang till it rang. How is it now that time goes so much quicker? I had a wise man explain it to me, but I forgot who the wise man's name was, nor what he said. I wish I could remember. He explained it to me. It made so much sense when he explained why we think time moves more quickly as we get older. You know what I want to talk about today is not my birthday. I have the clips from the first radio show. I have the hearings. I have the hypocrites. You know, the Feinstein hypocrite. That's the best one. She's grilling Gorsuch yesterday to be Supreme Court Justice, and she says to him, well, you got to hear this. This is probably one of the most ludicrous questions Dianne Feinstein could have ever thought of asking. Listen to clip one.
And how do we have confidence in you that you won't just be for the big corporations, that you will be for the little men? This is the question that Senator Hirono, I think, so well asked.
This is Dianne Feinstein, whose husband is one of the biggest contractors and businessmen in the world. She's asking Gorsuch if he's not going to be just for the big corporations and just be for the little men. Does she actually think you morons who like Bernie Sanders? How do you buy this from Feinstein and Pelosi? What's wrong with you people on the left? I don't understand you. I thought you're intelligent. How do you not understand who she is? Now I got that out of my system. I go back to what I really want to talk about, which is that we see a big investigation about Trump with Russia and meddling in this and that, meddling, did he, didn't he, there's a this or that. We don't know, probably not, but we do know something for sure, and you could take this to the bank. Obama did meddle for sure in foreign elections. Where is the investigation of his meddling in elections in Ukraine, Israel, England, and Egypt? I have that story. That's an amazingly important story. He meddled in the Israeli elections trying to overthrow Netanyahu. He meddled in the Egyptian elections trying to make sure the Muslim Brotherhood stayed in power. He traveled to England to speak out against Brexit. You didn't hear any of this? You didn't hear any? Didn't make it to your local rag? They're not even useful for rags anymore. We know that. He meddled in 4 distinct elections. Okay, that's the real story I want to talk about today. Obama meddled in foreign elections. Where's the investigation? Ukraine, Israel, England, and Egypt. These are the countries we know about. Where was Maxine Waters during that meddling? Where were the defunct Republicans? You see, this is the whole story, which I told you yesterday. As explained in Trump's war, his real enemy is not the Maxine Waters wing of the Democrat Party. That's a given. They are obstructionists. They'll do anything to stop him. The shiftless shifts, we know who they are. They're the Stalinists of our time. No, we know them. They're naked who they are. It's the rhinos in his own party who are trying to undermine him and get him out of there so they could put Pence in to represent their interests. That's the real story. And at the risk of your displeasure, audience, my dear audience, my loving dear audience, at the risk of your displeasure, we will know tomorrow what place on the all-important bestseller list Trump's war will be. And it's through the end of the day today. If you're going to buy this book, may I ask you to please go in and buy it today in a bookstore. Clean out the shelves. just make that rack spin emptily. Because if you're going to buy it today, because it'll be counted towards the first week's sales. And, it's a terrible business that I'm in. The book business today is much like movies. Either you make it on that first weekend, in this case you make it in the first week, or you're out of business. It's that simple. It's like, you ever see weekend grosses of a movie? They tell you the first weekend whether it's going to make it. So do you want to see Trump's war as Battle for America on the list? So you can send the message to all of the effete snobs out there that we exist, that we deplorables actually live and we do read books, and I have a battle plan for victory? Well, if you buy the book, buy it today. And I've said all I'm going to say right now. Bill on KSFO has an idea of why time is relative. Because, again, I want to go back to that. Time and I have always had a weird relationship. I've always felt the thing more than most kids. At 5, I was obsessed with this issue. But the thing is, I'm not 5 anymore. I'm a little older than 5. But I'm reminded of that great comedian who was way before my time, Harold Lloyd. You may remember the iconic picture of a lanky kind of guy hanging from a clock tower with his hands on the clock, the hands of the clock, and he's trying to stop time. I never understood it as a kid. I knew it was kind of weird and wacky. I didn't know what it meant. He was trying to stop time. In my case, I'd like to turn the clock back to about 1976 and be me now with all I have. That would be fun. But you can't do that. You can't go back to 1976 and be who you are then and have what you have now. God sets it up another way. All I can say is this, just talking very personally before I get into the politics of the day, and I know you'd rather hear me personalize than politic, to be honest with you. The thing is this, we are who we are, we have what we have. I just thank God I was never very successful when I was young, because everyone I know, and it's not the rule, everyone I knew who ever made it really big by the time they were 18, 19, 20, burned out very young or blew up in life. And I always knew that I had to keep struggling because I was given towards excess as a young man. If I had made a big hit in some way, whether it had been a book, well, I was writing books. Let's say one of them became a Jonathan Livingston Seagull and made me tens of millions of dollars, which it didn't. They always did okay, but never enough to really put me into the stratosphere. It was enough to live on and write my next book. That's the way God set me up because he knew my nature. And he knew I'd probably, burn out if I had, a huge success. So anyway, the point is, it's better to come later in life when you have the sobriety to deal with it properly, which is what I do. I really don't live an excessive life, to be frank with you. But anyway, forget my life for the moment. Let's talk about Trump's war and his battle for America, because that's what it's all about. And today is, of course, the 23rd anniversary of my radio show. No one knows how long anything goes on. I mean, it's a long-running play I have here. This was a Broadway show. Think about it. If the Savage Nation had opened on Broadway in 1994 and was still on Broadway in the year 2017, it'd be the longest-running play on Broadway. So it's a long run. I mean, it's quite a long run that this theater has had this play running in it. And lots of buildings have gone up around it, but the play is still on. It moved theaters once or twice, but it's still on Broadway. And while I'm talking about Broadway in New York, I have to tell you this because nobody else will. This show is still number one on the flagship station of the Cumulus stations on WABC. It is the number one rated program, number one ranked program, I think would be more accurate. Book after book after book, and the February book just came out. The February book came out, and the show is the number one show on WABC, and I thank all the other people on the station for being there, and of course the management for having me. But the point is, the people in New York love me on WABC. And I want to thank them and everyone else and all the other stations that take the show. So you could see it'll be a potpourri today of different events. A little bit of this, a little bit of that. And I'd be remiss not to also speak about the surveillance story that popped up yesterday, that according to documents received through a whistleblower from the NSA, Michael Savage was a target of NSA spying. And there's no evidence that this spying has stopped to this day. Michael Savage was target of NSA spying. The article was published by WorldNet Daily, my great friends, and it was published 19 hours ago. It's on michaelsavage.com. It's on WND. Nobody else picked it up. Not one other website would pick it up. I have so-called friends in the media who said, that's not a credible story. I mean, what do you mean it's not credible? You know something we don't know? Talk Radio host Michael Savage is among the public figures who are under surveillance by the National Security Agency, part of its Project Dragnet, according to a database revealed by an agency whistleblower. Jerome Corsi, an investigative reporter for Infowars.com, told Savage on the Savage Nation radio show Monday that one of Savage's email addresses was discovered in the database. Spying on me since 2004. Infowars obtained sections of the database of Michael Zullo, formerly chief investigator of the Cold Case Posse, a special investigative unit in the office of Joseph Arpaio, the former sheriff of Maricopa County, Arizona. It would have been nice if the president said something about this. Like, I really resent the fact that the NSA has been spying on Michael Savage, and I'm going to put a stop to it. Maybe he hasn't heard about it yet. But if you know Donald Trump or you work in his inner circle, maybe you ought to tell him that since he was so concerned about Milo Yiannopoulos and even mentioned the assault upon him at Berkeley, he really ought to say something about Michael Savage, because I've been his best friend forever. And whether he mentions it or not, I will still support Donald Trump. That's the way I am, loyal to the end. Quotes about surveillance. I was reading George Orwell's 1984, which was written in 1949. And I have some quotes from 1984, which are so relevant in light of this story and in light of the surveillance state that we're living in as a result of Bush and Obama, that I'll just read you 4 quotes from 1984. The party places hidden microphones throughout London to monitor the interactions of its constituents. Remember, this was written in 1949. The party's surveillance tactics and technology are so advanced that even the smallest twitch can betray a rebellious spirit. Can you believe this? The party employs children against their parents as another way to survey their behavior. And here's another one. Winston and Julia come to a rude awakening when it turns out that their rented room has a hidden telescreen that has surveyed them for their entire affair. Can you believe this, 1949? Can you understand why Orwell's 1984, written in 1949, is still so relevant? Aren't you leftists offended that your government was spying on me? Corsi said regarding the Savage hit that he found 2 solid hits in the database in 2004 and 2005, which was during the time of the George W. Bush administration. Oh, okay. There you go. Last Tuesday, as WMD reported, the day of the launch of his new book, Trump's War is Battle for America, Savage was violently attacked at a San Francisco area restaurant by a man who appeared to have been politically motivated. How do you like that? Still not arrested, by the way. Oh, no. The police have found no reason to arrest him, even though I was assaulted, and another man who jumped up to stop him was also assaulted. No reason to arrest the man, though. See, that's the way America is today. If you're at Berkeley, you can wreck a building, burn a building to the ground, beat up the police, pull a woman's hair, and the Berkeley so-called police do nothing. This is the world that we live in, but it's not going to be this way forever, I can guarantee you. Well, here we are. Look at this. What a gift it is to have a gift of gab. It's 19 minutes after the hour. This is the Savage Nation. I'll be right back.
Join the Savage Nation. Call now, 855-400-SAVAGE, 855-400-7282. Savage.
The Savage Nation is sponsored by Swiss America, the only company I trust with my financial future. Call 800-289-2646 or SwissAmerica.com.
Happy birthday to you.
Marilyn Monroe singing.
Happy birthday,
Fine, very good.
President.
I would like the new president of the United States, Donald Trump, to defund this mass data collection agenda of the NSA. I would like President Trump to defund this mass data collection agenda of the NSA. The NSA was created as another layer of bureaucracy, allegedly to integrate the data collection and basically the spying of the other agencies, the FBI, the CIA, the DEA, the DIA, I guess the DEA as well. The creation of the NSA was supposed to bring about coordination, cooperation amongst numerous intelligence agencies. But now they become a government unto themselves. What is a massive data center in the middle of the desert? This is not right. Now we have the Department of Homeland Security that failed us at every turn, so far as we know. Did they stop San Bernardino? Did they stop the killing in the gay nightclub? So who were they looking at? Why weren't they looking at Muslim terrorists or would-be Muslim terrorists? I mean, these are a big deal. It's a big deal story. So let's go back to the main story of the day. Obama meddled in foreign elections. Where's the investigation? We have evidence he meddled in Ukraine, Israel, England, and Egypt. February 2nd, 2015, President Obama told CNN's Fareed Bug-Eye Zakaria, that the U.S. brokered a deal to transition power in Ukraine. U.S. State Department spent more than $5 billion in pushing Ukraine towards the West. The U.S. Ambassador to Ukraine, Jeffrey Piat, and Assistant Secretary of State Victoria Nuland were also recorded plotting the downfall of the former Ukraine government in a leaked conversation. Top-level U.S. officials literally handed out cookies to the protesters who overthrew the Ukrainian government. Article goes on. No wonder even the former U.S. ambassador to the Soviet Union and the very hawkish Council on Foreign Relations say that the Ukrainian crisis is the West's fault, not Putin's. That's number one. Obama did it. Another story, December 12, 2016, CNS News, Michael Chapman. Obama State Department spent $350,000 for campaign infrastructure used against Netanyahu in Israel election. No investigation by Madwoman Waters. Obama travels to England to speak out against Brexit in April, urging Britons to vote against Brexit, again meddling in a foreign government. That's number three. And how about Egypt? Do you remember when he sent the hatchet man McCain over there to keep the Muslim Brotherhood in power? He's lucky he didn't get lynched by the Egyptians who hated the Muslim Brotherhood. You know, who was with John McCain trying to trying to keep the Muslim Brotherhood in power in Egypt? John McCain and Lindsey Mad Dog Graham were in Egypt working together. In Egypt working together. They were sent by whom? Barry Obama. They told the military to release members of the Muslim Brotherhood from jail. McCain is a traitor. McCain is a Manchurian candidate, a crescent plant.
Join the Savage Nation. Call now, 855-400-SAVAGE. Savage.
You are the dead, repeated the iron voice. It was behind the picture, breathed Julia. It was behind the picture, said the voice. Remain exactly where you are. Make no movement until you are ordered. It was starting at last. They could do nothing except stand gazing into one another's eyes. Unthinkable to disobey the iron voice from the wall. There was a snap as though a catch had been turned back, and a crash of breaking glass. The picture had fallen to the floor, uncovering the telescreen behind it. 1984, written in 1949 by George Orwell, where their rented room has a hidden telescreen that has surveyed them for their entire affair. So people have seen this coming a long time, and now that we're living with the greatest surveillance state in the history of the world, created by Obama, even the left said that. They stopped talking about it, but they were outraged as near as a year ago that Barry Obama had overseen the creation of the greatest spying state in the history of the world. So now we wake up and we see an investigation being conducted, really a witch hunt, by the Stalinists, Shifty Schiff and Mad Dog Waters and the others, and they're attacking Trump, saying that basically they're implying through a smear campaign that Russia meddled in the election and it's illegitimate and he should be impeached, all nonsense. When we know for a fact that Obama for sure meddled in foreign elections with no investigation in Ukraine, Israel, England, and Egypt. All right? So today is my 23rd anniversary on radio. I guess I could wish myself luck and a number of more years to go. You're not going to do it. And then, of course, we have that other issue of perception of time, where I think that's the one everyone wants to talk about. I'm just getting that feeling. I think people are burned out on politics. Do you know that? I'm sorry to tell you, like, they're not interested in it. It's like the old lead balloon. It's like the Led Zeppelin. We have any music from the Led Zeppelin that would be appropriate today? I think politics is the Led Zeppelin of the media today. The lowest rated subject in the world right now is politics. They'd rather hear me talk about time and perception than about politics. All right, I could do either. I have an extraordinarily wide range of interests. Let's put it to you that way, without boasting. I just do. In fact, I have to tell you a funny story. Way back when, before the San Francisco newspapers became totally politicized and laughable, I remember I published a book on plants, Plants, the botanical variety. I'm talking about in the 1970s, and the then San Francisco Examiner said, the wealth of Michael Savage's knowledge is overwhelming. Of course, since I became known as a conservative, whatever that means, they stopped reviewing any of my many books, including Trump's War, which doesn't exist to them. It sells wildly, by the way, around the country. So this is what happens when you live in a time of propaganda. But again, I don't know what you want to talk about. I know what I want to talk about is what it comes down to. I had poor guys did all the sound. They work since dawn. Poor Robert and Jim, Doug. We have Feinstein on Gorsuch. I already played the one spot. Feinstein's asked Gorsuch if he agrees Roe v. Wade is a super precedent. Why is she obsessed with abortion? Why are old women who are way past the age of reproduction obsessed with reproduction? There's something I can never understand. Gorsuch to Feinstein, Heller is the law of the land. The law of the land. Even she said that. I don't remember her name. Who was the one in the Supreme Court, the one from New York, who in my day would run a Carvel stand in Far Rockaway? Who? Potemkin? Kagan. Kagan would have been in like a nice lady in a bakery shop in like Jackson Heights, Queens, with like baker's dust on her face. Like a father would have built the bakery store. They were very nice people. Supreme Court material? No. Is she a Felix Frankfurter? A Cardozo? No. But she's on the Supreme Court. It's like waking up in a madhouse. But even she said the Second Amendment is established law. Don't we have that? Where when she was going through her hearings to be on the Supreme Court, they asked the baker's daughter, Albert Baker's dozen, if Heller is, that's a law. Heller is a law. It's not a type of cruller. And she said, Heller is the law of the land. So here's Feinstein trying to undermine the Second Amendment. What a lying sack of garbage she is. I'm sorry to get so visceral about her. I actually can't stand her. I don't know why she's not been investigated. She's such a queen of hearts, this woman. And she asks Gorsuch such stupid questions, such as, do we have confidence that you won't be just for the big corporations, that you'll be for the little guys? How could a woman of her financial stature ask that question? And how could you dumb leftists not see through her? What's wrong with you people? So now Feinstein goes after the Second Amendment, meaning your guns. Let's play clip 5 of the laughable Diane the Liar Feinstein in 5.
Do you agree with Judge Wilkinson that the Second Amendment is ambiguous? If so, should the ambiguity be decided by the courts or by legislatures?
The Supreme Court of the United States isn't final because it's infallible, as Justice Jackson reminds us. It's infallible because it's final. And Judge Wilkinson had his view, and the Supreme Court has spoken. And Heller is the law of the land. And Judge Wilkinson may disagree with it, and I understand that. But he will follow the law no less than any other judge in America. I am confident of that.
I love Gorsuch. He's so honest, and he didn't weasel out of it. He didn't try to appease the Queen of Diamonds, the Queen of Hearts. Do we have the baker's daughter? Now, here's the baker's daughter. Again, I'm not trying to be disrespectful. She probably is a nice lady. She probably makes a mean knish. What's her name again? Kagan, another genius. Never wrote anything that anyone knows about. This is what you have in the Supreme Court. No one's ever written anything anyone will ever remember. It's like authors. No one knows what they've ever written. No one has written. No one wrote a line you'll ever remember. I love to say married to an author or Manhattan. I'm an author. No one knows what you wrote. I have numerous lines that will be remembered for many, many centuries. Mainly liberalism is a mental disorder and borders language and culture. Those are great lines. They'll live for They'll live a long time. So this one Kagan is on the Supreme Court. So when she was going through her confirmation hearings, they asked her about the Second Amendment, meaning guns. Listen to what she said.
Is there any doubt after the court's decision in Heller and McDonald that the Second Amendment to the Constitution secures a fundamental right for an individual to own a firearm, use it for self-defense in their home?
There is no doubt, Senator Leahy. That is binding precedent, entitled to all the respect of binding precedent in any case. So that is settled law.
Settled law. I mean, I like her brogue. I come from the same area with the same brogue. But the thing is, she said it's settled law. So here's Feinstein trying to say it's not settled law, because Feinstein herself is unsettled. She's got to be on. How do people of this age, who are obviously not all there, how do they stay in power? Answer, illegal aliens. That's all. Now, Schumer is not to be outdone. I can't even play him. I get so sick. Schumer, don't get me started on what I think of Schumer. Because I grew up in New York. I knew the type. He was the type that if he was not in politics, he'd be a low-grade local lawyer who dreamed he was a U.S. attorney. And nobody would like him. Nobody would get along with him. No liberals would like him. No Democrats, because he's so outrageously aggressive. And it's not even the aggression. It's the style. Maybe it's the shoes, the brogue shoes that no one wears anymore. Can we buy him a pair of, like, earth shoes? Maybe it would temper him a bit. All right, there's nothing funny in this. Obama brokers Ukrainian deal. Waters. Oh, God. We have other sound. I'm not in the mood. I got a bit of a hangover, a headache. Shall I play Michael Savage on Larry Kudlow? Michael Savage interview on Larry King with Trump's war. Maybe I can make you go out to a bookstore and buy a copy today, the last day before the ratings come in for the week, and either it makes the list or it breaks on the list. It's that simple. Mark on KMAJ in Kansas. Welcome to the show, line 3.
Dr. Savage, congratulations on 23 years. I've just had to get in, and I've been listening to you for, I think, plus or minus 18 years. And you're the conversational leader, of course, I think, in this country, you know, with all the different people that I've heard on radio and TV. So congratulations. And I hope.
What station have you been listening to me on? KMAJ all these years? No.
No. I'm driving through Kansas, and I've caught you in different parts of the country. I believe that we had a conversation, I think it's 10 or 15 years ago when I was on the road.
Oh, my God. Look at that. You know, what's amazing is that people have told me if they drive across large areas of America, they get the signals coming in from different cities, and it's like very exciting to them. Like they're listening to Michael Savage. In one market, they cross a state line, bingo, it comes in off another signal. It's exciting to them. You know, it's kind of a piece of Americana, Mark. I am a piece of the American landscape.
So I appreciate you, and, you know, with my education, background, experience, and I love your candor. You know, if you're having a good day, bad day, you share it with us.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I drank too much red wine last night at a bad Indian restaurant. I got a slightly, I needed the wine last night. What's a big deal with 2 glasses of wine? Big deal. Mark, I'm sending you a copy of Trump's War. I hope you enjoy it. Now, I did remember who told me his theory on time and why it seems to go faster as you get older. And I got this from the gentleman who told it to me just now. Theory about why time goes faster as you get older. And he said, I'll use an illustration. And he said, when you're 5 years old, assume your cognitive memory begins at age 5. When you're 10, 1 year represents 1/5 of your entire life as you know it. When you're 50, the 1 year represents 2% of your entire life as you know it. Accordingly, the percentage of your total experience is less as you get older, it seems, and therefore the time seems to go faster. When you're 10, assuming cognitive memory begins at 5, 1 year represents 1/5 of your total experience. It's total everything you know, or seen or done, perceived. When you're 100 years old, that 1 year represents only 1% of your whole life, so it's just a click. So those clicks seem to go by faster as we get older. That's his theory. Does it make sense, Robert? Does that explain it, or is it too confusing? I don't know how the mind works in that regard. It's a miracle to me, the human mind, and what's inside our ears. To waste it on certain things is awesome to me. Sometimes I apologize to God for watching television, or if I do certain things in my eyes or brain that I know is a waste of my brain, I say, I'm sorry, God. you didn't give me all of this health and life and evolution to do this. But I do. I mean, I veer off path. What can I do? I'm just human. It's like eating junk food. I don't mean to, but I do, because it tastes good. It's like watching junk television or listening to really bad rap music. I think it sets the human mind back ages to listen to bad music. I had a Japanese friend who gave me the Japan Creativity Society Award way back 25 years ago. Yuki, Mr. Murakami. I hope he's still living. The skinniest guy I've ever met in the world. He ate nothing. I hope he's still living. So he said, okay, you win the award of the Japan Creativity Society. Gave me a first-class ticket to Japan. 85 this was. He would start his every day by listening to German marching music. So I was like, this is kind of weird. Why do you listen to German marching music? He said, because it sets my mind in order for the rest of the day. Now compare that to listening to crap music of the type that's celebrated by American subcultures. Okay, where every day you have to see these people marching around, exhibiting the worst forms of human behavior, glorified by the fake news, as though that is the human behavior we should all glorify. And he said, what that does to the human mind is set the mind back centuries. I'll be back in a minute.
Join the Savage Nation. Call now, 855-400-SAVAGE, 855-400-7282. Savage.
The Savage Nation is sponsored by Swiss America, the only company I trust with my financial future. Call 800-289-2646 or SwissAmerica.com. The one good thing is that I get a good night's sleep. I mean, that's the truth, is I sleep well. And truthfully, a great night's sleep can help if you have a great day. It can help you have a great day if you sleep well. I sleep well, and I have a lot of great days because I get a great night's sleep every night on my Casper mattress. The Casper mattress was invented with 2 high-tech foams that gives you all the support you need and guarantees you get the best night's sleep ever. It ships for free in a box so small you won't believe it holds a mattress. It's easy to get into your bedroom. And I love that Casper lets you try the mattress for 100 nights in your own home, risk-free. You don't like it, they'll come pick it up, take it back. If you don't love it as much as I love mine, they'll refund you everything, no questions asked. So from its breakthrough design to its packaging to letting you try it for 100 nights, it's no wonder Casper was named one of Fast Company's 50 most innovative brands of 2017. And believe me, sleeping on a mattress is the only way to try it. It beats lying on one in a mattress store just for a minute or two. So get a Casper and get a great night's sleep every night like I do. Go to Casper.com, use code NATION. You're going to get $50 towards the purchase of your mattress. That's Casper.com, code NATION. $50 to you towards the purchase of your mattress. Casper.com, code NATION. Terms and conditions apply. KSFO, Zeke on line 6. What's on your mind? You're on the Savage Nation.
Congratulations on the 23 years. You know, that basically is telling me that you've been in my life half of my life. That's cool. And I just thank you for all that you've done.
Well, you started in 1994?
Oh, yeah, real close. Yeah, real close to that.
Or did you just catch me alone or with a family member?
With a family. Yeah, early family. But I met you at Chalet Bath. Oh, maybe I shouldn't have said the name, but
no, that's okay. Put it on the air so the next guy will look for me there.
Yeah, talk about good wine. I met you and your dog there, and it was a great meal. And
that's very nice. You know, give the address too. Give it a GPS. No, I got a Mexican friend whose hands are as big as my thighs who wants to come to dinner with me from now on. He has a tattoo of his mother on his arm. No one's coming near me. This guy's like a stone wall. He looks like Luca Brasi in The Godfather. He loves me, this guy.
Yeah, well, I'm probably about as big, and I'm Mexican, too.
No, this guy is the greatest. It's a funny thing. I could start on and on now about the conversations I have with this guy. He has a tattoo of his mother on his arm, his forearm. He's like, yeah, I thought it was a girlfriend. He said, no, it's my mother. And his tears come in his eyes. He's the biggest, strongest guy I know, and the kindest, most gentle giant. So I went in my house. I got a picture of my mother, may God rest her soul, cooking in her house when I must have been a long time ago. And we talked about our mothers. It's amazing to me how much the mother is loved in the Mexican culture, how important she is to the son. Am I right?
There's nothing like my mama. You got it. Yep.
See that? This is something that is so lost in our society, the love for the mother. It's hard to believe, and it takes maybe another culture to remind us what it is that we lost in our own culture, to bring us back to our senses of what's really important. Thank you for listening. I'm sending you Trump's War. May you read it over the next 23 years.
Join the Savage Nation. Call now, 855-400-SAVAGE, 855-400-7282. Savage. Warning. The Savage Nation contains adult language, adult content, psychological nudity. Listener discretion is advised. And now, America's most exciting radio talk show, The Savage Nation, home of borders, language, culture, and here he is,
New York Post is reporting that the FBI did bug Trump Tower, but not to bug Trump, but to bug a Russian gambling ring that owned an apartment in Trump Tower. See how these things work out? Bull gores 11-inch horn up Matador's butt. Twins scattering parents' ashes found dead at bottom of cliff. I mean, you know, tabloid news is a pleasure. It's great for the scattered mind. Welcome to Hour 2. Of course, the big topic is you're not interested in. Obama meddled in foreign elections, no investigation. Ukraine, Israel, England, and Egypt. I covered that. Gave you the dates, the quotes. I talked about Orwell's 1984, where he predicted, when he wrote it in 49, about a surveillance state, and we're living in it and no one seems to care. The WND article on michaelsavage.com linked up there for you, which is a very important article where it proves I was the target of NSA spying, not covered anywhere else but WNDN, my own website. That's the way it is. But then I got toward the end of the hour talking about mothers. And I don't know, Chuck Berry was more than a rock icon. He was also a huge pervert, says the Post. I don't even want you to read that article. It's disgusting. But he lived to 91 as a div. And that's the funny part. I mean, the guy was 91. He was a rock and roller and, pretty crazy, according to this story, what he did with women. I cannot believe this. But it just shows you that everyone lies to you when they tell you, to live a straight life. You probably die earlier. I don't know. How do these guys live so long doing those things? What do I know? It's his metabolism or something. The guy was a wild man. So I was talking about mothers. I was speaking to a Mexican guy I know who has a tattoo of his mother on his forearm. And as I said, his forearm is large as my thigh, maybe larger, all muscle. And a gentle giant, a lovely man. And I said, who is that? I thought it was his girlfriend. No, it's me, his mother. And his eyes, become tearing over. So I took out a picture of my mother cooking in our little house in Queens. Oh, I don't know how many years ago this was. We lived in an attached house that was 20 feet wide. They were on 20 by 100-foot lots, attached brick houses. To me, it was a palace. I have houses today where the bathroom was bigger than this whole house, or close to it. But that house was a palace to me because, you see, we had moved from a tenement in the Bronx to a rental apartment in Queens. And then when my father got the money together in the early 50s, he bought this little house with very little money down. It was $14,000, the whole house. Would you believe it? So to me, it was a paradise. I had my own room. My sister had her room. It had one bathroom upstairs and one little half bath, so-called downstairs, where the guests would go to. I don't know. I never had. Yeah, a little tiny. You had to go into the bathroom sideways. The downstairs bathroom was so small, and you couldn't open the door all the way because it banged into the refrigerator if you did. But it was there nevertheless. What I didn't like about it is it had no lock on the door. I always hated that. There was no privacy in that house. And I was an adolescent, so let's let that hang in the air. Nevertheless, this picture is of me coming back to New York, man-child in the promised land. I was already living away for years, doing my own thing. And here I am in the kitchen putting my arm around Mom, and she's cooking a beautiful soup in a beautiful pot. She has a 4-burner electric stove. In the kitchen, you can't walk down straight. You have to walk sideways. You have to shuffle. To get from one part of the kitchen to the other, you have to shuffle. But this woman could knock out 4 different gourmet meals on that stove, and no matter when I came home, no matter what time of night, in college, I'd come out, ask my friends. Oh, I don't think I have any, but ask my friends of that time. We could come over any time of the night after going out dancing or whatever. She'd get up and she'd come down like in... Remember that movie with Scorsese's movie? The Goodfellow movie where they bring the guy and there's blood on the knife. We didn't have blood on the knife. And the woman comes down. It's played by Scorsese's mother. She looked like her a lot. I swear to God, that's the funny part. And she would say, "What's the matter? Where'd you get the blood on you?" In the movie. He said, no, Ma, it was a deer. We hit a deer. Okay, but they just knocked the guy off. That's not what I'm saying. But she also pulled out the food in that movie. It was so like my life in that way with the food part, with the mothers. Italian mothers, Jewish mothers were the same. Like my good friend Lorenzo said, same a corporation, a different division. I loved him. He was so great, that guy. You talk about cross-cultural referencing. So anyway, she could knock out meals anytime, come day or night, come in. You guys want to eat something? No, it's okay, Mrs. No. All of a sudden, stuff is flying out of the refrigerator. She's heating up gourmet meals. And young guys, they'll eat anything at that time of night. They're ravenous, so I had great memories. Then, what are you going to do? Move to Florida, and then the rest is history. The rest is history. Then you move on. So I don't know why I brought up the mother thing. Let's take some calls on politics. That's what you want to talk about, not mothers. Today is my 23rd birthday on radio. 23rd anniversary. I think I still have the original Savage Nation demo clip, right? Do we have the demo clip? There it is, demo tape. I'll never forget the day I did that. I think I should play it, Robert, a little bit of it in a few minutes. Because I remember when I wanted to get into radio in 93, I went to a studio in Sausalito, Command Studio. They're still there, by the way, Command Productions. It's in an old building that was built to build the Liberty ships. And I put together a fake radio, demonstration tape, and sent it out to 470 some odd radio stations, if I recall, that I got the list of from a guy who's no longer on the earth. He was a lawyer, represented radio stations. And I sent it out in 3, 4, 5 stations, said, "You're good. Would you like to be on the station?" Blah, blah, blah. And then one of them was KGO here in San Francisco, and they gave me an overnight fill-in thing. I came back from that night. I said I'd never be in radio again. The hatred from the left was so overwhelming. I didn't know there was that much hatred on the earth as what I experienced the first night I did a fill-in job in that San Francisco radio station. And all I did was talk about affirmative action, being illegal, immoral, and they were so hateful, the liberals, on that overnight show. I remember driving home at 5 in the morning. It was an overnight stint for a guy. He does an overnight show. I think he's still there. God bless him. I'm driving home from that radio station. I'm looking in the rearview mirror the whole way home. I had become totally paranoid from the hatred. I had never encountered such hatred in my life. Never. I never encountered it. The left is so hateful, it's frightening. I got home. I went to bed. I woke up for breakfast with the kids and the family. And they said, "How was it last night, Dad?" I said, "I am never going to be on the radio again. The hatred is overwhelming from the people." Well, of course, I got a call that morning from the program director who said to me, "Oh, you're great. You want to do it again?" "No." I said, "I'll never do that show again. I will never go on that show. The hatred is overwhelming." No. She said, "You don't know. You set off the meters all over this radio station." She said, "What if we give you another show to fill in?" And I said, "Only if it's daytime." So then I filled in for some daytime hosts on KGO, great people, one of whom eventually, I forget, nice guy, jumped off the Golden Gate Bridge, allegedly. I don't think so. I think he was thrown, but that's my own feeling. Wonderful man. A liberal guy, thrown off the bridge or jumped, whatever. And then then they created KSFO, and they made me an offer I could not refuse, and that's the beginning of my new life. That's how it was. So 93 years goes by quitty quickly, whatever. It's a long 94, 27. Then you do the math. I told you the plastic mind. So if I said, wait a minute, 23 years from now for when I started, so if I go to 1994 and I take away 23 years, then I'm back in World War I, which is impossible. Do you ever do that? You say, 23 years ago, it wasn't World War I, but it's like in 94, 23 years before then, it was already, where was that? That was another era. Now go 23 years before that, it's like D-Day. And then 23 years before that, it's like the Doughboys on the Western Front. And that's it. What does God do this to us? I try to think about God today. Because I'm starting the God book again. I didn't want to tell you that. I'm finished with Trump's war. It's in the stores. So it's like a movie director. You know, you're working on your next movie. They're not sitting here. I'm glad the book is out. I want you to buy it today because tomorrow is when it counts, whether it makes the list or not, and what number. So if you're going to buy it today. I mean that. But it's like any film director is already working on his next film. By the time his movie comes out, he's already working on his next project, isn't he? So I went back to the God book, and I started to think about this whole thing about God. And all I could think of is it's impossible that God doesn't exist. It's not a question of proving that God exists. All I could think of is it's impossible to prove he doesn't exist. That's all I could think of. It's like my mind reached that point of saying this can all not be, it can't all be an accident. It can't be. It's impossible. There's no possibility that we're on Nat Geo creation run by a bunch of crazed leftists anyway. Every show on Nat Geo shows God doesn't exist. That is a speck of dust in the universe, and a carbon fell down and mixed up with the oxygen, and then a swamp, and the slime and the man, and the dink, and that, but do. And here we are, trying on clothes at Barney's. It doesn't make sense to me. It's impossible. So, you know, no matter where my mind goes on a scientific level, I totally am a total believer. So what does that do for you? Nothing. And what does it mean for me? Everything. Because I'm confident that this is the way it's supposed to be. Even when bad things happen. Let's go into bad things. I had a minor bad thing, not a major bad thing. A real major bad thing is a major bad thing. Losing a child, God forbid, getting killed, getting cancer, getting a heart attack, and not being able to talk, you know, a stroke, an Alzheimer's. Those are bad things. Going broke after you have a little money, terrible. Probably the most devastating thing that happened to a man is to have some success and lose it all and wind up where he started, if not below that. That's probably one of the worst things that could happen. I told that story, you know, the leather man gets cancer. That story is an ever favorite because people can't believe it's true. It is true. I'm not going to tell it again, but they're saying, she's like, well, okay, so what's God's plan? I don't know God's plan. How do you deal with all of those things? How do you deal with a child dying of leukemia in a cancer ward? What are you going to say? It was his karma? He was a bad person in another life? I don't want to accept that. So what I learned when I was going through the agony of trying to figure this out many years ago is I read a book by a rabbi whose name I forget. He was a reform rabbi, by the way, who wrote a book where he said that if he believed God was omnipotent, he would cease being religious that second. He said God is omnipresent, but he's not omnipotent. God does not control every aspect of our life. He doesn't control our every breath. You know what I'm saying? We have free will in that regard. So in other words, God starts the clock and then the clock runs. You are the clock. I mean, you know, where you go with this clock that you were given is another story. The human brain continues to intrigue me. The potential of the human mind has always overwhelmed me when I think about what we can become with, you know, I think about me. I'm going to give you an example. I'm going to go on and on with another one of my drifts, but that's what makes life so interesting. Did you ever dream that if you had not had the parents you had, who are all imperfect because we're all imperfect, what if you were instead raised by in a perfect place, in a perfect situation where they knew who you were and what your inherent talents were, and from the earliest age they encouraged those talents? Instead of suppressing you as an artist, you were encouraged to be an artist. Instead of suppressing you as a musician, because they say you'll never make a living at it, they encourage you to be a musician. What would you have been? I don't have an answer to that one either, because I don't know if there's any such perfect place. And secondly, I've seen many people and read about many people in my life who had absolutely no possibility to achieve as a result of their upbringing, who became world-famous great musicians. For example, I'll give you one example after another of people who were born. I'll give you some great black musicians. Who am I talking about? Born into the son of sharecroppers, had no money whatsoever, saved his money to buy his first broken-down guitar, and through great talent and great drive, became one of the greatest musicians of all time. B.B. King. There are others. So in other words, what? He should have been taken away from his poor parents and given to some state institution to be a musician. They probably would have made him something else. Or who did I play yesterday, Robert? That song that was so touching, The Blind Musician, who I'd not really heard of. Here, Ronnie Millsap. Ronnie Millsap was born blind, and his mother gave him away because she didn't want to raise a blind child. Would you believe this? I mean, you read this guy's story, you won't believe it. How do you explain this? This country musician, born totally blind, where he sings "I'd Be a Legend in My Time," one of the great songs about heartbreak. Robert, when you come back, play that. I'll be back in a minute.
Join the Savage Nation. Call now, 855-400-SAVAGE, 855-400-7282. Savage.
The Savage Nation is sponsored by Swiss America, the only company I trust with my financial future. Call 800-289-2646 or SwissAmerica.com. Wow, Roy Orbison did this song. A lot of guys did this one. Let's play another piece of it. I'm not in the mood to think. I want to shut my brain down.
I'd be a legend.
You think I want to think about Shifty Schiff, the Stalinist of our time? Ashamed to his family name? Schiff. Oh, it's disgusting what they become. The Democrats are so disgusting, they become fascists. Little Stalinists. I hope that this turns on them. I hope that the Republicans can get the guts and brains to turn it on them and show the collusion between high-placed Democrats and Russia. As if Russia's the evil one. They all have collusion with foreign governments. That's what they do. Look into a few senators' husbands' business deals around the world. Take a look at them and see if there's any collusion. WABC Dave on line 1. Go ahead.
That's exactly my same exact, you just brought the same up point for me, Michael. My question is that we all know there's a war on Trump from the liberal media, from the politicized judges, politicized NSA, politicized FBI. How can this stop? What can he do to stop this madness?
I don't know. Ask him. I mean, he's supposed to know how to stop it, not me. I mean, they're attacking me as well as him and others in the media. Anyone who's a conservative or not, let's say, a left-wing fanatic, is either boycotted by advertisers or made to non-exist as they did in the Soviet Union. I don't have an answer what he's got to do. He's got to send 100 detectives to look into the background of certain senators in New York, California, and see their business dealings. He's got to hire 100 investigators and send them from here to Moscow and look into the senators' dealings. Maybe that would stop the charade of false indignation. Maybe, maybe not.
Join the Savage Nation. Call now, 855-400-SAVAGE, 855-400-7282. Savage.
I used to argue with... Just play this, Pete. I missed that. Anyway, but I used to argue with my father, and he would say to me, he was old school, he would say, if it's in you, you'll do it. He didn't believe in cultivating anything. In fact, he believed in repressing what was in you. He thought, his theory was the opposite. If I ever started in how I was raised, you'd never believe it. He would do like crazy things, like he'd say to me, Michael, you see that oyster? Let me show you the oyster. He said, you know how a pearl is created? No, Dad, how's a pearl created? He said they take a wire and they put it into the oyster to irritate the oyster. And around that irritation, the oyster creates a calcium layer which produces the pearl. I didn't know what he was saying to me. He was telling me he was irritating me on purpose. He wanted me to produce pearls of wisdom. Well, maybe he succeeded. But, you know, then I read Huxley and others, and frankly, they taught me something that was the complete opposite, which is that we create despite the irritation, not because of it. It's like many people are artists, and they're afraid that if they stop being crazy and wild and abusing themselves, they're no longer going to create. Well, I learned from the great artists that they create despite their deficiencies, not because of them. Or you could say they create despite their neuroses, not because of it. So in other words, you don't have to feed your madness to show how cool you are, and you think you're going to create more art. You won't. Your art will become worse. You have to fight it, give up drugs, give up drinking, give up stupidity, and focus on your art. You'll do greater art. That's all. I don't know why I would talk about this, though, because today is my 23rd anniversary. I guess I'm allowed to talk about anything I want. So I want to go back in time. I have the most important interview I ever did in my life with Samuel Cohen, who was the inventor of the neutron bomb. No, I don't think anyone else has this interview. Maybe someone did. He gave one of his rare radio interviews, and I own it. I'm not going to play that for you, though. I just wanted to tell you about it for another day. Instead, I want to go way back in time and go back to the original demo tape that I made on my own with no radio show, just hoping to get one, back in 1993, called the Savage Demo Tape Clip number 25.
And now, direct from the towers above Manhattan, it's the Michael Savage Show. To the right of Rush and to the left of God, and now, Michael Savage. I'm glad I can be with you 7 nights a week because
that's a good start. Now, you'd think I was in a radio station. I wasn't. I was in a small booth in Command Production Studios in Sausalito, and I created this whole thing in my own mind, and I sent it out to, I don't know, a couple of hundred radio stations, program directors, whose names I bought on a list from a guy in the business. Would you believe it? A list broker. That's how things work. If you want something hard enough, you work for it. The government doesn't give it to you. Affirmative action? Because I was under 6 foot tall and I didn't have blue eyes and blonde hair, they should give me a radio show? I had to fight for it. I'm like the salmon who swims upstream. And that's life, as it was until the socialist states of America started to emerge into this hodgepodge of mediocrity. Nice line, Mike. You should consider a career in radio, this hodgepodge of mediocrity. That's what we have right now. So let's take some calls. That's all. Marijuana poisoning poses serious risk for dogs. Don't you love the idiot potheads? They give their dogs marijuana. The dogs almost die from it. It's a great story. I saw it in the USA Today. Even they were warning, oh, marijuana is bad for your dog, but it's good for you, idiot. You would do to your head what you wouldn't do to your dog. Your dog shows you what's going on inside your own head. Marijuana poisoning poses serious risk for dogs. Well, it poses an even more serious risk for girls. They say, well, dogs, hundreds of them are being treated at Fort Collins Animal Hospitals and vets at Fort Collins Vet, 10 cases a week. Recreational dope went on sale in Colorado in 2014. One morning in January, a Colorado woman found that her dog had lost his personality. Finn, age 4, a normally energetic and friendly boxer, blue heeler mix, was stiff and unresponsive. His jaw was locked, his brown eyes barely open, couldn't register his owner's panicked face. Sounds like a hipster in New York at 5 in the morning. Look at that. Doesn't that match a hipster in Manhattan? In other words, before he left Queens, when he was a normal boy, he was a friendly boy when he lived with his mother, Bertha, or Sylvia. Then he became a hipster. He grew a beard. Instead of becoming a Hasidic rabbi, he became a pothead. So they go to the Manhattan. They find him with his jaw locked, his brown eyes barely open, and he can't register the face of his mother because he was high on marijuana. So that's what happens to dogs. But you don't know it's doing it to you, too. Researchers found that marijuana toxicity cases in dogs increased as the number of medical marijuana licenses increased in Colorado. Marijuana is toxic for dogs and hipsters and can be fatal in large doses. Some stupid pet owners use marijuana to treat their dogs for pain or other ailments. You see, they apply everything to a dog. It's like turning your dog into a vegan. The dog dies. Dog dies, that's all. The dog is not meant to be a vegan. It's meant to be a dog. That's what has canine teeth, moron. You ever hear the word canine teeth? Not called vegan teeth. You have canine teeth. They're meant to rip and tear flesh. That's how you evolved. You have not transcended the zoological order, no matter who you think you are. I don't care what state you live in or what state of mind you think you're in. You have not transcended the zoological order. You're stuck in an animal body. You're just like everybody else. If you cut me, do I not bleed? If you tickle me, do I not laugh? Ha ha ha. Read your Shakespeare, Schmendrick. You know, Schmendrick would be a good character in Shakespeare, but he didn't know about Schmendrick. I do. Schmendrick is a great character. I should write about him one day. KSFO, Kim, line 5. I'm feeling good. What's on your mind?
Hi, I'm glad you're feeling good, but I want to say something. There's occasionally times when you speak, when you sound disheartened. And I feel that you're largely responsible for the Trump, or at least partially responsible for the Trump victory. And when you seem down, I think your listeners, as a group, also feel like maybe the whole cause is hopeless. And the thing that I want to say is what Trump is trying to do now is upset what was something that was absolutely in stone, and that is that we would have this new world order.
Yes, he was trying to stop an emerging Soviet-style world government from happening because he heard the people saying, hell no, we won't go. We're not going to march to the drummers in Brussels who will control our every breath. And like Brexit, he's trying to lead the revolution, which is why I'm sending you Trump's War, His Battle for America. And I thank you for that, the kind words. It's the most important book of our time. And today is the day to buy one. If you want to support Trump's battle, I'm going to tell you why today is more important than tomorrow. Because at the end of today, the count is in for week number 1 of the sales of the book. I'm pretty sure it's going to be in the top 3 on the New York Times hardcover nonfiction bestseller list. I'd love to see it at number 2 or number 1. I'm in very stiff competition. So if we could sell thousands of books today, it'll jump the numbers up where they should be, and we'll break through to number 1. And how then can people ignore the book and forget the book? How can they ignore the message? Get it? Okay. WABC, line 1. You're on the Savage Nation, sir. What's on your mind?
Hello?
Yes, sir. You're on the radio. What's on your mind?
Dr. Savage, I just want to tell you, I listened to you a lot, and I was calling you because I really appreciate the fact that you know music. Little Caesar and the Romans, the Flamingos, the Moonglows, all those people. And that mess they have out there now, all that cursing and stuff, I can't stand it.
So you come from my generation when you're talking about real rock and roll, right?
Rock and roll, rhythm and blues. Who could sing America better than Ray Charles?
Nobody. Now, what did you do? Were you a singer or a musician?
No, I'm neither. I'm just a man who loves music. I have thousands of albums and things.
Oh, wow. So we're going to play one for you. Give me a selection. Let's play it for you right now. Robert, get ready. Get out that jukebox in your brain. Let's see which one we're going to play. What would you like to hear?
How about something by the Moonglows?
What do we have from the Moonglows, Robert? Anything from the Moonglows? I have to check up my Moonglow list. While we're looking for the Moonglows, we're going to send you a copy of a book that will make America glow called Trump's War. So stay on the line while we look. I have the Velours, Can I Come Over Tonight? Or the Velvetones, Glory of Love. That was good. You remember the Bop Chords, Castle in the Sky? That's a beautiful one. Did you know the Harptones, Life is But a Dream, A Sunday Kind of Love? How about the Flamingos, A Kiss from Your Lips? Or the Dells, Oh What a Night. Hey, how about Oh What a Night, Robert? I haven't had one in a long time, but I'd love to have one, so I'd rather hear one of people who did have a great night. Let's have Oh What a Night by the Dells, so we can remember what Oh What a Night was when we were still having Oh What a Night, if you can dig it up. That's a good lead on. Or we could have Eddie, My Love, A Standby. That's why I wrote Trump's War and dedicated to Eddie, because we all love Eddie. Eddie is the mythical man who saved us from Hitler. Eddie is the mythical man fighting in Iraq and Afghanistan. And we're doing this just for you, my friend.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much for triggering the rock and roll in me. And I'm going to send you the book that will glow America called Trump's War. Thank you, my friend. I have an extremely diverse audience, by the way. It's so easy to typecast a person. You say, oh, he's black, he does this. He's a right-winger, he says that. You cannot typecast me. It's impossible. Can anyone typecast me? It's impossible unless you're a hateful, stupid moron who limits your own brain. I don't listen to him. Why not? Well, I know he's no good. Well, because you don't listen, you know I'm no good? You sound like an idiot. Here, listen to this one. We have these fake hearings now against Trump, Russia. Fake hearing. And Mr. Boy Scout there from the FBI. Anyone who's that clean, watch out. I don't like guys who act like they're Eagle Scouts, and there's always something in the closet there. A little too perfect. Mr. Objective. Everything he said was, oh, yes, I'm above the law. We follow the law. Absolutely. Oh, no. No, says the NSA queen who runs the NSA, the admiral. Oh, no, we can't spy. Is it true you cannot spy on Americans without a court order? Oh, yes, sir. We cannot spy on Americans without a court order. Oh, yes, sir. The millions of Americans have been spied on since George Bush without court orders. Yeah, no, we don't do that. The head of the NSA. Yeah, right. But what I said today was we have definite evidence and proof that Obama meddled in foreign elections. No investigation. He meddled in Israel, meddled in England, meddled in Egypt, meddled in Ukraine. That's what we know about. So where's the hearing? That's all. Common sense doesn't seem to rule in the country today. So today is my show anniversary. May I have others? March 21st, 2017 is exactly 23 years to the day today that I began on the radio. And the minute I come back, I'm going to take more of your calls on all the news of the day. Please be here.
Join the Savage Nation. Call now, 855-400-SAVAGE, 855-400-7282. Savage.
The Savage Nation is sponsored by Swiss America, the only company I trust with my financial future. Call 800-289-2646 or SwissAmerica.com. Well, I'm back on the show, and I do want to talk about an important topic, which happens to be, blood flow. You know what I'm talking about, right? We know that healthy circulation is critical, especially as we get older. There's a natural way to support healthy blood flow, and that's by getting enough dietary nitrates into your body, which convert into nitric oxide. What does that mean? Well, Super Beets is the easiest way to get these natural dietary nitrates. 1 scoop in water or a smoothie and bing, you're all set. This is the secret to helping support healthy circulation and healthy blood pressure levels. You see, Super Beets works 3 times faster to give you results you can feel. It happens to taste great. It's all about blood flow. I take Super Beets every day. I can feel the energy and stamina it gives me within 20 minutes. So call 800-481-0504. That's 800-481-0504. Or simply go to SavageLovesBeets.com. That's SavageLovesBeets.com. You're going to get a 30-day supply free with your first order, backed by a money-back guarantee if you don't like it. And you're also going to get a free book called Beat the Odds, free shipping on your entire order. How can you beat this? Call 800-481-0504 or go to SavageLovesBeets.com. You're going to love the results you feel with your first free canister guaranteed, or you get your money back. This is the Savage Nation. Let's go to the callers. Bill on KSFO line 7. What's on your mind, Bill?
Dr. Savage, you are a daily mitzvah to the airwaves and to cyberspace, and I think it's totally appropriate, too, that you share the birthday of your show with Johann Sebastian Bach, who would be 300.
Oh, that is a great compliment.
Oh.
Today, March 21st, is Bach's birthday?
Exactly. 332 today, he would be.
Oh, he'd be 332. He probably couldn't get a teaching job in a university because he's a white male.
You know about it. Oh, yeah.
Can you imagine if Bach went to a university to get a teaching job at a university and told him, sorry, there's too many white males in the music department?
Oh, yeah. Just go back to Leipzig.
What is your favorite piece of Bach music? What's the favorite?
It's just such a wide array. I love the cantatas. I love the Brandenburg Concerti. There are 6 of those. He wrote 6 of a lot of things. I'm mainly a pianist is what I got my degree in, and I love the 2- and 3-part inventions.
Would you think that a man who's a pianist who loves Bach listens to the Savage Nation? I thought that only crocodiles of the right listen to the show, Bill. How is that even possible that you're listening since you're such a refined individual? How is that possible? You're not supposed to be a listener of this show, nor is that African-American gentleman from New York City supposed to be a listener. Do you see the stereotypes that they put out about me and about Trump and anyone who they don't agree with, what they do in the media with their fake news? Of course, if Mozart were alive today and tried to get a teaching job at an American university, they'd say, no, sir, we have too many white males. That's the world that we live in. To just put things in context for you of what's happening to Western civilization. So here we are. That's all. FBI bugged Trump Tower while probing Russian gambling ring. But today is a special day for me. It's the 23rd anniversary on radio. Began in March 21st, 1994. And so we have all sorts of wonderful memories for those of you out there who've listened for a long time. I don't know what this is going to say. The guys put this together for me. I didn't even know about this today. They reminded me of it as I got on the air. They put this together for me. So they got the Savage Nation trailer, the Radio Hall of Fame. Savage Demo Tape, first radio show, opening minutes from the September 11th, 2001 attack. That is a stirring show. Samuel Cohen, when he was on the show, the father of the neutron bomb, a great interview, very, very telling. And the classic Savage, Liberals in Asian Restaurants, which I'm going to take a chance on, Robert. I never heard it. I hope it's funny. Can we hear clip 30 just for fun? Right now on the Savage Nation. You ever watch liberals go into Chinese restaurants or any Asian restaurant, particularly Thai restaurants? They put their hands together and they bow. Or if they ask for water or a napkin, they ask 50 times and say thank you 5,000 times. Oh, thank you. Oh, they're always so deferential to a restaurant. And the Asian people look at them like they're insane. What are you thanking them for a napkin for? You're in their restaurant. They have to give you a napkin. Why are you thanking them for a glass of water? They're required to give you a glass of water. Have you ever seen liberals when the food comes? Oh, thank you, man. Thank you. Thank you. Just why? And that's like Obama in China. Obama bowing down to the emperor's fourth son. Same thing. It's just liberalism. It's a disconnect from reality. So we don't have to make more of it than it is. That's all. That was a good one. What year was that? 2009? Something like that, prior to the banning in Britain? I haven't been the same since I was banned in Britain. I'm a different person. I've become more defensive and guarded. Looking back, that shocked me more than anything in my whole life, that a nation would ban me and put me on a list with the Ku Klux Klan and Russian skinheads who beat someone's head in and Palestinians who kill Jewish children with rifle butts. Yeah, and by the way, Theresa May was part of that, incidentally, the great Theresa May, the big-toothed backstepper. All right, here we are. From 1 minute to the next, making friends around the world. That's the motto of the Savage. The Savage Nation. The dark side of Chuck Berry. Why is the New York Post doing to this man now? Why are they doing this to Chuck Berry? What are they trying to gain by this? Talking about his sex life. Well, I mean, that's disgusting, what he did. But I don't want to read about it. I'd rather remember his music. I did, unfortunately, read about it this morning. It really nauseated me. But it's not the first I've heard about that kind of behavior. There are people who are in the sexual subculture who do these things. So I've heard. Let me see my horoscope for the heck of it. Don't even think of changing direction today or for the remainder of the week. You are precisely where you're supposed to be, and it won't be long before you know what it is you are supposed to be doing. Duh. I do it every day. What do you mean? Be patient. Good things are coming. That's stupid. How could a horoscope be accurate? What, for 6 billion people? Aries, Scorpio, Capricorn. But some of them are written so cleverly. The computer that writes these is like fortune cookies. We all read them just for fun, and we say, it's garbage. And then somehow we go out, we think there may be some truth to it. You can't have any truth to it. All right, I want to take some calls, that's all. It's a weird day out there. I feel like we're in the eye of the hurricane. And something terrible is about to happen in the world. I just feel it. My intuition is the antennae are going off. Something bad's going to happen. North Korea is going to launch, take out an island, like an Aleutian Island, or... This guy's insane. This North Korean bug is so bad. If we had a legitimate Democrat Party, they would stop their insanity. They would unify with Trump. And they would organize around the clock to stop this lunatic in North Korea. And there's only one way to do it. And I'm not an advisor to Donald Trump. There's only one way to do this. I've said this before, and I'll say it again because I believe it to be true. Perhaps I'm wrong. North Korea would not so much as burp without China telling them what to do. North Korea I have defined as China's junkyard pit bull. And there's only one way to stop this, which is to get China to stop him. So you have to ask yourself, why are we reading that North Korea is accelerating its first strike nuclear plan? There's only one reason for this. I don't think it takes a genius to figure this out. And I'm sorry to tell you, yes, it's in Trump's war. Yes, I've thought this through. Why is China activating their pit bull, their junkyard dog, North Korea? Why? Because they know Trump just might impose tariffs on their goods. This is a preemptive strike by China against Trump. That's my analysis. If I was sitting with the president, I would tell him that's what I think, and you've got to negotiate with China. You can't just dictate, negotiate. That's a good line. I'd say, Mr. President, negotiate, don't dictate. And this is a problem, and I'm going to be a bit critical right now, that I see emerging. And here's the problem. Donald Trump is a great businessman. It's a different world in the world of politics. Politics means compromise. You're not a dictator. You're a negotiator. Now, a lot of business requires negotiation. But ultimately, if you own a large company, you can dictate your terms. If you put yourself in the right business deals, you're going to be in control, or else you wouldn't go into that deal to begin with. So, if he's trying to run the country the way he ran his business, it's not working. He's trying to dictate what he wants done, which I agree with on every level, except for the Obamacare thing, which is a disaster, which I don't go into because I don't think it's worth talking about. It's the most boring topic on the planet, number one. Number two, the people don't want it to be taken away from them right now. Once you give people something, it's real hard to take it away from them. That's like saying we're going to take away Social Security and come up with a new plan. They're not going to let you do that. So this whole thing is being driven by a particular weird wing of the Republican Party, which is to repeal Obamacare. Repeal, 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 get rid of it. That's not what they want. It's not the number one priority of an out-of-work, unemployed person somewhere in America. That's not their biggest priority. They want jobs. They want factories to be rebuilt in their town as they were promised. They want those production lines running again. They don't see that happening. Now, who steered Donald to go do this first is anyone's guess. I think I know who did it. And my suspicion is those individuals are not going to be there by June. That's my guess. Just they need a rotation internally. They did great work until now. It's time to rotate them out. Okay, they're shell-shocked right now because they misled him. That's all. Next case. Any other questions? I have the answers, at least in my own mind. Maybe you agree with me. So, I mean, I got into politics, but you can't run the country like a business. It doesn't work. Unless it's a dictatorship. Even Kim Jong-un can run the country like a business. Where he's the guy who runs the business, and he tells everyone in Korea what to do, or he kills them. That's all, with the hats, the big hats. There's like 1,000 generals there with hat sizes. Can anyone explain that to me, why they wear oversized bills on their military hats? Is it because of the... Does anyone of Korean heritage explain what the big hats are for in Korea? I don't mean to be derogatory. I mean, they were probably very tough, brilliant men, but why do they wear those weird-looking hats in North Korea, in the military? Like the bill is too large. It looked like they bought them it's like from Shyster guys sold old military equipment, and they didn't realize it was a laughing thing. They're like from a German head. I don't understand why they need those hats with the big brim, the big bill in front. He's weird. That haircut of his alone tells he's a crazy man. First strike nuke plan? I never heard of anything like this. And we're arguing over Russia? North Korea has no fear of U.S. sanctions move. Will pursue nuclear arms, says the envoy. Either wearing a fur hat, or the other guy's wearing where do they get these hats from? And if you don't clap, you get killed. Not only you clap, you got to clap continuously till your hands can't move anymore. Or else he considers you disloyal, like Stalin did. He shot everyone who didn't clap long enough. What a culture this is. Kim Jong-un watched the ground jet test of a Korean-style high-thrust engine newly developed by the Academy of National Defense Science in this undated picture provided by KCNA in Pyongyang on March 19, 2017. This is scary material. This maniac in North Korea is the world's biggest problem. And we have Schumer, we have Feinstein, we have Waters muddying the waters on nothing, on collusion with Russia, when the whole nation should be prepared for a potential strike against the United States of America. This includes developing a preemptive first strike capability and an intercontinental ballistic missile, said Choi Ming-nam, deputy ambassador at the DPRK, that's the North Korean mission to the UN in Geneva. This is crazy. And he says, I think this is stemming from the visit by Secretary of State Rex Tillerson to Japan, South Korea, and China. We, of course, are not afraid of any act like that, Choi told Reuters. All right, this is serious business. Now, North Korea has been under sanctions for half a century. And they're starving to death. They're eating straw. They're eating rubber insulation on electrical wires. That's what this moron has done to his own country. Think about this, all you communist-loving morons out there. South Korea is an open society, democracy, booming booming. People are just thriving in South Korea. Capitalism. North Korea, communism, starving to death, eating insulation on electrical wires. How do you not understand this if you look at South America, the same thing? Socialist South America. Which country? Real close to us. Which one is it? Venezuela. Used to be a thriving nation. They're killing zoo animals now because they're starving to death. Communism, socialism, same thing. It crushes competition, creates state control. Bureaucrats cannot create anything. They can't manage anything. And as a result, people are starving to death. This is an old story. Everyone knows it except Bernie Sanders. Anyway, my main point is, in hopes of reducing the chance of nuclear war, I would hope that the morons called Democrats stop their witch hunt with Russia and focus instead on North Korea. How's that? That's my birthday wish for the Savage Nation. KVOR, Colorado, Mary, line 7. You're on the Savage Nation. What's on your mind, Mary?
Hi. Thank you so much for taking my call. I just wanted to congratulate you on a wonderfully entertaining 23 years. And I love hearing your perspectives on life and the universe. It's been a fantastic...
You have a beautiful... Is it New Zealand or Australian? Sorry to insult you one way or the other.
Well, you've got the right hemisphere, but wrong on both counts.
Are you South African?
Yes. Yes.
You know why? Why do I always confuse? And I've done this repeatedly. I'm pretty good on accents. I've made many times in my life I've mistaken South African accents for New Zealand accents. I don't understand why.
It's a colonial thing, I think.
I don't know, but the Australian accent is distinctly different, by the way, than is South African or New Zealand. Incidentally, in my experience, anyway. Now, where are you listening to me? Up in Colorado, KVOR?
That's right. That's right.
Are you in a military family?
No, not at all. I actually came out with my family, my husband and kids, back in 94.
You're lucky you escaped that nation. It's a nightmare right now in South Africa that goes underreported by the international press. The crime. The child rape epidemic that's never reported by the liberal press is it's a mark of psychosis on the part of those in the media.
It is. It's very sad, and my heart just goes out every day to the people that have to live through that. And that's one of the things that we decided to come out to this wonderful land of freedom.
Yes, you're lucky you got away from there and came to God's land. Well, Mary, I'm sending you a copy of Trump's War, which today is the last day that you have to buy this book in a bookstore and drive it up the charts. Certainly you could buy it tomorrow, but that would count for the week after. I need that book near number 1, and it ends tonight, by the way. So if you're thinking of buying the book, would you please buy it today? I'll be right back.
Join the Savage Nation. Call now, 855-400-SAVAGE, 855-400-7282. Savage.
The Savage Nation is sponsored by Swiss America, the only company I trust with my financial future. Call 800-289-2646 or SwissAmerica.com. The Savage Nation, March 21st, 2017, our 23rd year on the radio today. And if you want to make a call, it'll be historic because you will be recorded forever. So I don't know what to say. A lot of you have great calls. Let's go to my home station of KSFO, where I've been from the beginning. Garrett on line 8. We have only a minute. Fire away, please.
Michael, I am a 34-year-old common sense Eddie, and you are the captain of the USS Common Sense.
And how many years have you been listening to the program, Garrett?
I've been listening to you for about 8 years. I remember the first day I heard you, I was working my butt off, escaping the land with a friend's father. He turned me on to you.
Let me ask you something. When you listen to me, do you hear me politically on one side of the... How do you define me? Can you define me as this wing or that wing?
Let me tell you, you connect and touch with so many people in so many different ways. You cannot.
Well, but I'm not acting. The point is that I take each issue as they come at me, and I make a determination based upon what I think is right. I don't go into it with a predetermined outcome. It's like the Democrats have a predetermined outcome that Trump did use Russia to win the election. They're not doing an inquisition. I mean, they're doing an inquisition, not an inquiry. So, in other words, you say to me animals. You say, oh, right-winger hates animals. No, I don't. I'm a conservationist. I say save the whales. How do you define that? Because I'm right on that. The whales need to be saved. Same thing with bays, waters, and places. Well, I thank you for being such a loyal listener. I'm sending you Trump's War because it's our last chance to educate both ourselves and our friends and neighbors as to what we must do. Not only what we must do to help Donald Trump, because it's not about him. It's about this nation. He was our representative. Never forget that. As flawed as he is, he's our representative. And we need to keep him on course. That's what I wrote the book for. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? It's a roadmap.
Join the Savage Nation. Call now, 855-400-SAVAGE, 855-400-7282. Savage.
So let's go back to the main story of the day. Obama meddled in foreign elections. Where's the investigation? We have evidence he meddled in Ukraine, Israel, England, and Egypt. February 2nd, 2015, President Obama told CNN's Fareed Bug-Eye Zachariah, that the U.S. brokered a deal to transition power in Ukraine. U.S. State Department spent more than $5 billion in pushing Ukraine towards the West. The U.S. Ambassador to Ukraine, Jeffrey Piat, and Assistant Secretary of State Victoria Nuland were also recorded plotting the downfall of the former Ukraine government in a leaked conversation. Top-level U.S. officials literally handed out cookies to the protesters who overthrew the Ukrainian government. Article goes on. No wonder even the former U.S. ambassador to the Soviet Union and the very hawkish Council on Foreign Relations say that the Ukrainian crisis is the West's fault, not Putin's. That's number one. Obama did it. Another story. December 12, 2016, CNS News, Michael Chapman. Obama State Department spent $350,000 for campaign infrastructure used against Netanyahu in Israel election. No investigation by Madwoman Waters. Obama travels to England to speak out against Brexit in April, urging Britons to vote against Brexit, again meddling in a foreign government. That's number three. And how about Egypt? Do you remember when he sent the hatchet man McCain over there to keep the Muslim Brotherhood in power? He's lucky he didn't get lynched by the Egyptians who hated the Muslim Brotherhood. You know, who was with John McCain trying to trying to keep the Muslim Brotherhood in power in Egypt? John McCain and Lindsey Mad Dog Graham were in Egypt working together. In Egypt working together. They were sent by whom? Barry Obama. They told the military to release members of the Muslim Brotherhood from jail. McCain is a traitor. McCain is a Manchurian candidate, a crescent plant. We see a big investigation about Trump with Russia and meddling in this and that. Meddling, did he, didn't he? There's a this or that. We don't know, probably not. But we do know something for sure. And you could take this to the bank. Obama did meddle for sure in foreign elections. Where is the investigation of his meddling in elections in Ukraine, Israel, England, and Egypt? I have that story. That's an amazingly important story. He meddled in the Israeli elections trying to overthrow Netanyahu. He meddled in the Egyptian elections trying to make sure the Muslim Brotherhood stayed in power. He traveled to England to speak out against Brexit. You didn't hear any of this? You didn't hear any? Didn't make it to your local rag? They're not even useful for rags anymore. We know that. He meddled in 4 distinct elections. Okay? That's the real story I want to talk about today. Obama meddled in foreign elections. Where's the investigation? Ukraine, Israel, England, and Egypt. These are the countries we know about. Where was Maxine Waters during that meddling? Where were the defunct Republicans? You see, this is the whole story, which I told you yesterday. As explained in Trump's war, his real enemy is not the Maxine Waters wing of the Democrat Party. That's a given. They are obstructionists. They'll do anything to stop him. The shiftless shifts, we know who they are. They're the Stalinists of our time. No, we know them. They're naked who they are. It's the rhinos in his own party who are trying to undermine him and get him out of there so they could put Pence in to represent their interests. That's the real story. And at the risk of your displeasure, audience, my dear audience, my loving dear audience, at the risk of your displeasure, we will know tomorrow what place on the all-important bestseller list Trump's war will be. And it's through the end of the day today. If you're going to buy this book, may I ask you to please go in and buy it today in a bookstore. Clean out the shelves. Just make that rack spin emptily. Because if you're going to buy it today, because it'll be counted towards the first week's sales. And, you know, it's a terrible business that I'm in. The book business today is much like movies. Either you make it on that first weekend, in this case you make it in the first week, or you're out of business. It's that simple. It's like, you ever see weekend grosses of a movie? They tell you the first weekend whether it's going to make it. So do you want to see Trump's war as Battle for America on the list? So you can send the message to all of the effete snobs out there that we exist, that we deplorables actually live, and we do read books, and I have a battle plan for victory. Well, if you buy the book, buy it today. And I'd be remiss not to also speak about the surveillance story that popped up yesterday, that according to documents received through a whistleblower from the NSA, Michael Savage was a target of NSA spying. And there's no evidence that the spying has stopped to this day. Michael Savage was target of NSA spying. The article was published by WorldNet Daily, my great friends, and was published 19 hours ago. It's on michaelsavage.com. It's on WND. Nobody else picked it up. Not one other website would pick it up. I have so-called friends in the media who said, that's not a credible story. I mean, what do you mean it's not credible? You know something we don't know? Talk Radio host Michael Savage is among the public figures who are under surveillance by the National Security Agency, part of its Project Dragnet, according to a database revealed by an agency whistleblower. Jerome Corsi, an investigative reporter for Infowars.com, told Savage on the Savage Nation radio show Monday that one of Savage's email addresses was discovered in the database. Spying on me since 2004. Infowars obtained sections of the database of Michael Zullo, formerly chief investigator of the Cold Case Posse, a special investigative unit in the office of Joseph Arpaio, the former sheriff of Maricopa County, Arizona. It would have been nice if the president said something about this. Like, I really resent the fact that the NSA has been spying on Michael Savage, and I'm going to put a stop to it. Maybe he hasn't heard about it yet. But if you know Donald Trump or you work in his inner circle, maybe you ought to tell him that since he was so concerned about Milo Yiannopoulos and even mentioned the assault upon him at Berkeley, he really ought to say something about Michael Savage, because I've been his best friend forever. And whether he mentions it or not, I will still support Donald Trump. That's the way I am, loyal to the end. I've kind of always suspected that low-life communist vermin in the government would be spying on individuals such as myself, because they're such cowards that they would even take such a job and not do the job that they were actually supposed to be doing, which is spying on people who would be possible terrorists. I've always suspected that. But I never actually thought it was true. I suspected it, but didn't really want to believe it. You know about that sense of disbelief? Maybe, maybe not, but then when you know it for sure, you have to change your lifestyle, don't you? So this is a war against freedom of speech. This is a war against freedom of press. Never forget the name of the book that is in the bookstores called Trump's War. Never forget the book. Oh, the spying started way long ago. Do you think that this NSA, that is now a rogue entity in this government, has stopped spying on Michael Savage? Do you think that they're really not spying on me and others in the media? I wonder what else you may think. And I wonder what they're going to make up next about me. See, that's what I'm really worried about. I really fear what they're going to do to me tomorrow. I write this: the media has done far more damage invading the minds of Americans and others around the world than Putin did in invading Crimea, which asked for his help. It's been an all-out assault on the mind space of millions by CNN, ABC, CBS, and NBC. The story is by no means over, I write. The globalists will keep it alive as a sword of Damocles over Trump's head for his entire administration. Whenever Trump tries to improve relations with Russia, they will accuse him of appeasing the dictator who planted him in the White House. It's all in Trump's war. But listen to the following paragraph, please. We can't let our friends and neighbors forget all the verifiably phony stories the deep state, meaning the CIA and the NSA and the FBI, put out about Trump either. And all in there. You remember the fiction about Trump being filmed in a Russian hotel room with prostitutes? That was repeated by that psychopath, vicious rat muddy Maxine Waters. It was a lie, but she repeated it again. This one sounded like a fabrication from the beginning. But someone within the intelligence community leaked it, and some of the media chose to publish it. What struck me, I write, about this story is how many of the key fake news elements it shared with the Russian hacking story, that they both contain the same key elements, lead me to doubt them both. And I go on, and I'm not going to read it to you. Read about it in Trump's war against the deep state, because now it's come home, real home. It's come home real home. How do you feel about that? Anyone out there with a liberal orientation who's as outraged as you should be? Or do you think it's a joke? Because I'll repeat again what Cardinal Niemöller said. When they came for the Jews, he did not raise his voice because he was not a Jew. When they came for the gypsies, he did not raise his voice because he's not a gypsy. When they came for the trade unionists, he did not raise his voice because he was not a trade unionist. And when they came for him, there was no one left to raise their voice because they were all in the same concentration camp. Liberals, I'm talking to you directly. Do you have any idea that you're now being tested in a way in your entire life you've never been tested? Is there a liberal out there willing to admit that they feel sick to their stomach, that this government has been spying on innocent American citizens, violating not only all the tenets of the law, but of human decency itself? Not one liberal has called this show. Aren't you leftists offended that your government was spying on me? Corsi said regarding the Savage hit that he found 2 solid hits in the database in 04 and 05, which was during the time of the George W. Bush administration. Oh, okay. There you go. Last Tuesday, as WMD reported, the day of the launch of his new book, Trump's War is Battle for America, Savage was violently attacked at a San Francisco area restaurant by a man who appeared to have been politically motivated. How do you like that? Still not arrested, by the way. Oh, no. The police have found no reason to arrest him, even though I was assaulted, and another man who jumped up to stop him was also assaulted. No reason to arrest the man, though. See, that's the way America is today. If you're at Berkeley, you can wreck a building, burn a building to the ground, beat up the police, pull a woman's hair, and the Berkeley so-called police do nothing. This is the world that we live in, but it's not going to be this way forever, I can guarantee you. I would like the new president of the United States, Donald Trump, to defund this mass data collection agenda of the NSA. I would like President Trump to defund this mass data collection agenda of the NSA. The NSA was created as another layer of bureaucracy, allegedly to integrate the data collection and basically the spying of the other agencies, the FBI, the CIA, the DEA, the DIA, I guess the DEA as well. The creation of the NSA was supposed to bring about coordination, cooperation amongst numerous intelligence agencies. But now they become a government unto themselves. What is a massive data center in the middle of the desert? This is not right. Now we have the Department of Homeland Security that failed us at every turn. So far as we know, did they stop San Bernardino? Did they stop the killing in the gay nightclub? So who were they looking at? Why weren't they looking at Muslim terrorists or would-be Muslim terrorists? I mean, these are big deals. It's a big deal story. I'll be right back.
Join the Savage Nation. Call now, 855-400-SAVAGE, 855-400-7282. Savage.
The Savage Nation is sponsored by Swiss America, the only company I trust with my financial future. Call 800-289-2646 or SwissAmerica.com. Very troubling news to report on this anniversary show, the 23rd anniversary of the Savage Nation. Within the last hour, the rhinos did exactly what I told you they might do in Trump's war on page 45, which is, without anyone knowing about it, during the Obamacare rollback, they took out an immigration provision meant to crack down on illegal immigrants getting federal health care insurance coverage. Did you hear what I just said? They would have removed health care for illegal aliens, and the Republicans snuck it back in. The provision in the revision would have allowed the Treasury Department to access data at the Department of Homeland Security to verify that health care tax credits went only to U.S. citizens and legal permanent residents, not to illegal immigrants. But it was dropped from the bill after the Senate parliamentarian determined that the Senate Finance Committee, which handles tax credits under the bill, does not have purview over the Department of Homeland Security. In other words, the Republicans stabbed us in the back again. And so the conservatives, like Republican Rep. Lou Barletta, gave a statement saying, right after this, he could no longer support the bill. My friends, do you understand what's going on? This provision was a key issue for conservative groups that the Trump administration is trying to win over in its efforts to pass the bill known as the American Health Care Act. Trump Care, in other words. Everybody knows what this really is. And here's what I wrote about it, page 45 of Trump's War. Republicans in the House of Representatives have been repealing Obamacare for 6 years when it didn't matter. But now that the vote is no longer symbolic, repealing this monstrosity seems to have become a lot more complicated. The first proposal the rhinos came up with was a budget bill that included repealing Obamacare and $9 trillion in new debt over the next 10 years. Right out of George W. Bush's playbook, the Republicans were ready to add as much to the national debt as Obama has over his 8-year term, and it only took the Republicans 3 days. A few congressmen have pushed back, like Rand Paul, who voted against the Senate bill to repeal. My friends, this is a nightmare right now. Republican leaders stabbed us in the back again. They took out a provision in the repeal of Obamacare that would have cut illegal aliens from getting federal health care insurance coverage. So now Donald Trump is in very, very deep trouble because the conservatives have all withdrawn their support, as probably they should, by the way, for this bill. I'm sorry to tell you, I'm not a goose stepper here. Sorry. I don't need George Bush light under a new package, to be honest with you. If that's what we're getting, I'm not interested in it. We have a war that we're fighting, and we can't fight a war in a tepid manner. Now, I ask you, why is healthcare so expensive? That's in my book. Breaking even on healthcare savings is not enough. So what is a realistic plan to replace Obamacare? Is there one? I have one on page 60 of Trump's War to repeal Obamacare. I don't think the president has seen it yet, but he ought to. We have political realities to deal with. And we need to replace Obamacare. I have 5 or 6 great ideas that I'd love to share with you, but I don't have the time. You can read all about it in Trump's War. Today is the day.